Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 3 of the Vuelta España. 193 kilometers, about 120 miles in length, and it's pancake flat up here in the Netherlands. One little bump with about 60 kilometers to go. That'll be decide the KOM on today's stage 3, and then a sprint line competition about 22 kilometers from the finish of today's stage. Now, with that in mind, when we hit kilometer 0, you know there's going to be an early break on today's stage 3, and we're not let down. It's the KOM race leader's jersey up there, Julius Vandenberg, and he's got some company in the form of Mikel Echeverria from Euskaltel Euskadi, Thomas de Hint from Lotto Soudal's there, Jan Bakelen's my old teammate from Radio Shack, he's riding for Intermarché, Jose Harada from Cofidis is up there, Anders Okamika from Burgos BH, he's a breakaway specialist, and Poe Mikhail from Kern Pharma. With those 7 riders up the road, they're getting the gap right away, but it's only given 3 minutes maximum time on today's stage because unlike yesterday, they got 3 teams chasing back there. Trek Segafredo's on the front right away. Bora Hansgrohe, who won yesterday's stage with Sam Bennett, he's got his team up there, and it's not going to take too much longer for Albacine de Koonik to get on the front and start chasing. With those 3 big teams chasing back there and the gap only being extended out to 3 minutes on today's stage, you know there's a good chance that everything's going to get brought back together. With 140 kilometers to go on today's stage, that's when we're going to see a crash, and it's Michael Woods from Israel Premier Tech that goes down with his teammate. For Michael Woods, that's going to be the end of his Vuelta España campaign because he's going to drop out here on stage 3. Now let's get back up front because with about 85 kilometers to go, the gap's down to about 2 minutes to the group of 7. Now things are starting to get a little nervous in the peloton as we see Jumbo-Visma coming to the front, and it's no longer real estate left on the road as everybody's curb to curb coming into the finish here with 85 kilometers to go in the stage. Now as we start coming up to the KOM, with about 65 kilometers to go, we'll see the organizers start pulling the race cars away from the breakaway of 7 up front, so we know the gap's getting down close. It's under just about a minute, and then when we start getting to the KOM, we're going to see a little bit of action, but not like yesterday's stage. As we know, it's Julius Vandenberg that needs some points if he wants to keep that KOM jersey. Thomas de Hint, though, is giving some interest in the KOM jersey as he takes first place on the KOM line, but Julius Vandenberg comes across the line second place to keep his KOM jersey. Now after that, with the gap from the peloton, all that nervous riding back there from Jumbo-Visma and all the other GC favorites, that time gap's now down to under a minute's gap, talking about 45, 50-second gap when they went over that KOM. As we go further into the stage, it's not too interesting. Most of it's probably a stage to take a good nap through, but now things are starting to get excited, so you got to perk up if you're sitting on the couch. We get under 30 kilometers to go, and all of a sudden the peloton's got that gap wrapped down to about 30 seconds. 25 kilometers to go. We see it's down still about 25-30 seconds, and then with 20 kilometers to go, all of a sudden we see a crash as the riders come into the left turn. You see the traffic furniture all over the place, and then on the right side of the road, it's Richard Carapaz, the big GC favorite to win here at the Vuelta España. He's off the side of the road with 2 teammates. He will get back on 3-4 kilometers later, we'll see him on the back of the peloton, and then up front shortly after that with about 15 kilometers to go, that group of 7's all wrapped up and brought back into the picture. Thomas de Hint, he had gotten maximum points at the sprint line competition, but that's just for taking money back there because there's not much chance that Thomas de Hint's going to win the Greens Point jersey here at the end of the Vuelta España when everything's wrapped up almost 3 weeks from now. Now, as the action starts getting hot up there with 15 kilometers to go, as that group gets wrapped up, all of a sudden we start seeing things curb to curb throughout the finish of today's stage. Because with 10 kilometers to go, the action's getting thick back there, and you see everybody's nervous as none of the real estate's left on the road. 8 kilometers to go, we start seeing Jumbo-Visma, Albacine de Koonik, and Bahrain Victorious going across the road, spreading out, fighting for real estate here. Bahrain Victorious is doing a great job of keeping Mikel Landa out of danger coming into the finish of these stages. We saw him yesterday fighting against Quick-Step. Now they're up front, and this Jumbo-Visma they got to do battle against in order to keep Mikel Landa up at the front of today's field. Just under 5 kilometers to go. The action's thick and heavy, and it's the red race leader's jersey up there with 4.5. He's pulling hard on the front, trying to keep Primoz Roglic out of trouble. With about 2.5 kilometers to go, we start seeing the peloton is still curb to curb, but it's not going to last much longer because with 2K to go, all of a sudden Alpecin Phoenix got control of the peloton here. They'll come through the chicane with 1.5 and they'll pull their sprinter, Tim Miller, who's just a little bit back off of the train in the peloton there. They'll pull him all the way to about 1K to go, and then we're going to see UAE Team Emirates Oliveira's on the front. He's got some company that he doesn't want on his wheel in the form of Ryan Moulin from Bora Hansgrohe. Bora Hansgrohe rider, he knows he's trying to do the sprint lead out for Sam Bennett and Danny Van Poppel, but they're not on his wheel because it's Milano and then it's Pascal Ackermann sitting fourth wheel. 850 meters to go. We'll start the first right-hand bend. There's 2 to go under 1K. But as we go into this first right bend, it's Oliveira on the front going full gas. 800 meters as they're exiting this turn. I want you to look closely at the picture because it's Ryan Moulin that looks back and realizes his sprinter's not in the picture. It's Milano and Pascal Ackermann sitting third and fourth wheel right on the wheel of Moulin. Now Moulin's got some choices to make because up front it's UAE Team Emirates Oliveira throwing in one last big acceleration that'll get the group all the way to 700 meters to go as Oliveira pulls off hard left. Ryan Moulin from Bora Hansgrohe's got decisions to make. He does all of about 2 pedal strokes full gas, then realizes he better look back. He looks backwards and sees that it's Sam Bennett and Danny Van Poppel way behind a couple other fast sprinters, and he knows at this point in time he's got to get off the front because if he keeps the lead out going full gas now, they got no shot at winning here on stage 3. Now this is 680 meters to go because Moulin only did about 20 meters on the front at best, and it's left Milano, the lead out specialist, for Pascal Ackermann on the front. Only problem is 680 meters, a long ways to go because he's got to get Pascal Ackermann all the way to 250 meters, if not 200 meters to go, if they want any shot at winning stage 3 here of the Vuelta a España. Now Milano, the intelligent, fantastic ace lead-out man here for UAE Team Emirates, he takes over the front because he's got no other option as Ryan Moulin pull off. Now Milano's going gas on the front, but not going full gas. He's kind of threading, just fanning the throttle just a little bit on and off where he's not full gas because he knows at 400 meters to go, there's the last bend here on stage 3. Now all of a sudden we get 400 meters to go, and when you look as the right bend starts, it's Milano going full gas out of the saddle with everything he's got. At 300 meters to go, Pascal Ackermann starts his sprint, and this is a long ways to be sprinting when we're talking about a quality field here on stage 3 of the Vuelta a España, but Pascal Ackermann hits the front. He's going full gas. At 200 meters to go, he's got Lionel from Alpecin de Koenig on his wheel. Dan McClay just behind him, Ryan Coquard behind him. Then there's a gap behind Coquard's wheel. So let me back up the film just a little bit to 300 meters to go as Pascal Ackermann was starting to sprint in the final right bend here as he's exiting. On the left side is Danny Van Poppel, followed by Sam Bennett, his ace sprinter that won yesterday's stage 2. They're coming the long way around this right bend all the way on the left because up front when Milano had finished his work, he pulled hard left. So Danny Van Poppel along with Sam Bennett's doing the long way around, but they're coming fast. Now we go 25 meters in front of that to 275. I'll show you the gap there. Tim Miller opened up the gap right away, and I thought at the time he just didn't have legs, but when we look closer, look, his foot's pulled out of the pedal because he dropped his chain, skipped his gear or something. His foot came out of the pedal. He got it back in, but it's too late as the gap's getting big. Now it's 200 meters to go. Let's go back up front because Pascal Ackermann's still leading. He's got Lionel from Alpecin de Koenig on his wheel, Dan McClay from Arkea Samsic sitting third, and then Brian Coquard. 150 meters to go. Things get really interested because all of a sudden Dan McClay is on the left side there of Pascal Ackermann, but guess who else is coming into the picture? Sam Bennett, Bora Hansgrohe's yesterday's stage 2 winner. Now all of a sudden we're 3 across the road with 150 meters to go. At 100 meters to go, Pascal Ackermann's legs, he fell off because he started his sprint way too early as he starts to drift back. Now we got a 2-way battle up front, but look just behind the wheel of Sam Bennett, and it's Trek Segafredo. Mads Pedersen, the ex-road world champion, is on the wheel. He's starting to come off hard to the left side so he can pass Sam Bennett. Only problem is Danny Van Poppel moved closer to the right. Now we look at it, it's elbow to elbow between Danny Van Poppel and yesterday's second place finisher, Mads Pedersen. They don't go down as Mads Pedersen slips through, but it's going to be a bike throw at the line for Sam Bennett, who takes first. Then behind, it's Mads Pedersen second again on the stage. And then sitting third is going to be Dan McKay from Arcaea Samson. Sam Bennett takes back-to-back stage victories, stage 2 and stage 3 here at the Vuelta a España. Congratulations, Sam Bennett. Remarkable sprint finish here coming from so far back. Let me remind you guys, under a K to go, they're sitting back in about 10th position. Then with 700 meters to go, when his teammate started to take over at the front, Ryan Mullen, if he had kept that sprint train going, that would have been disastrous for Sam Bennett and Danny Van Poppel. Instead, the wise teammate Ryan Mullen did the great tactic of pulling off the front immediately. That causes a little bit of chaos. And remember, when Milano takes the front, if he goes full gas from 680, there's no way he can make it to 250 meters to go. So I got no problems at all with Milano's tactics of holding the throttle off just a little bit and waiting for 400 meters to go to start his speed. But when he does, you got to believe when you back the throttle off a little bit, that's what's giving those guys at the back time to start coming up. And you see it as the Cofidis rider back there started coming from the back, and that was Remy Kokis. He starts coming from the back, and then you see right there where it's Danny Van Poppel jumping on his wheel along with Sam Bennett, and that's helping the draft situations for Danny Van Poppel to do such an amazing lead out, starting just after that with about 350 meters to go coming into that right bend. So it's whole teamwork that should be celebrating here for Bora Hansgrohe, that did an excellent job with under 1 kilometer to go, and just perfect job here to win today's stage 3. But remember, if you go all the way back to 193 kilometers to go, when that 7-man group went up the road, it was Bora Hansgrohe that was riding throughout all of today's stage to help Sam Bennett win. So a big team effort here on stage 3 for Sam Bennett to win his back-to-back victories. First back-to-back victories throughout this season for Sam Bennett as he's coming back on form here at the Vuelta a España. Now, Tim Miller. Now, remember, he looked fantastic, and if you look at it, with about 275 meters to go, when he dropped his chain, he gets his foot back into his pedal after that, gets his gear shift back on there, comes all the way back up to get 6th on today's stage. So clearly Tim Miller still has some form from Alpecin de Koenig, so don't forget him when we get later into these stages. If you just look at the results and see him getting 6th on the stage, you might think it wasn't anything impressive. But when you see that he dropped his chain, put it back on, and then still came back up to give these guys a little bit of run for the money for top 10 positions here at the Vuelta a España, you know he's on form. The red race leader's jersey started off today with Mike Tunison. Before him, it was his teammate that was guessing that had it on stage 2 here of the Vuelta a España. But at the end of today's stage 3, guess what? It's going to go to another Jumbo-Visma riders, because Eduardo Affini, the Italian rider, will take over the race leader's red jersey here at the Vuelta a España. The third rider for Jumbo-Visma to wear the jersey here. So they're spreading out the love everywhere before they get into these mountain stages. Look for one of the other riders to take the red race leader's jersey here on stage 4 of the Vuelta a España. That'll be on Tuesday. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next edition of the Butterfly Effect.